Hey guys, Zenny here. I know recently I released a new, updated general movement and speedrun basics tutorial. The highlight of this tutorial was a new format in the way that I was presenting things, and I mentioned that I wanted to update some other tutorials to go along with that as well. This should be considered the start of that, and the first thing I'm going to do is update the 100% tutorial, since a lot of things have changed in the past 4 or 5 years since I made the old one. The way that this tutorial is going to work, I'm capturing the game feed from a few of my different PBs, which will be shown here. I'm also capturing the hand cam when applicable, the input display when applicable, and the input visualizer when applicable. Additionally, I will be showing some of Behemoth's former world record run. When Behemoth's run is displayed, it will say Behe up here in the top right. Since he did not have a hand cam or input displays, those will not be shown on the left. It's also worth noting that if you've seen my old 100% tutorial, a lot of this information is going to be the same. There have been a number of strats and general methodology changes over the past few years, but a lot of the things are going to have stayed the same as well, so feel free to skip around. So now that we have the introduction out of the way, let's get into it. When you start the game, Samus will come down this elevator. Note the input display is showing that I'm holding right and jump, which is the B button. What this does is it causes Samus to skip the turnaround animation and immediately enter a spin jump animation instead. It's a pretty small difference, but it can save a few frames as you're getting off of this elevator. Some people choose to do a moonfall in this room. I personally do. Performed optimally, it can save 5 to 10 frames, but it's pretty hard to do optimally. When you're doing the moonfall, as Samus is passing this platform, you need to have the right direction released. Again, notice that on the input display, I'm no longer holding right. What that does is it prevents Samus from doing a wall jump check as she's passing this platform. The wall jump check would normalize Samus's subpixel value, which would actually prevent her from landing on this platform at the bottom. Instead, she would end up a pixel to the left and not land on it. Let's watch the moonfall in slow motion. So you see that I do a short spin jump to the right, then turn left, hold angle, and quickly perform the moonfall action. Release right on the D-pad so that she doesn't wall jump check this platform, land at the bottom, brief pause, and run through the door. You'll note that Behemoth does not do the moonfall. That version of the strat is obviously more straightforward, less prone to error, and is definitely consistency based. This is a common theme throughout Behemoth's run. Moving on throughout the next few rooms, things are pretty basic. You want to do short hops and ledge grabs, jump around these corners, and use an angle button to stop on a dime before the doors. All of this basic movement is covered in my general movement and speedrun basics tutorial. As we enter Ridley's room, the reason that people stand over on the bottom right corner here is so that they can take damage from Ridley's tail, which, in this instance, actually does more damage than Ridley's body. This allows us to drop our energy down to a lower value so that Ridley will fly away more quickly. One thing to note that may not seem obvious. Here you see me do a damage boost. What this does is it manipulates Ridley so that he won't spin his tail and instead will continue flying upward. If he spins his tail at this part of the run, he'll actually fly downward, which delays him going off screen here at the end. It's a pretty small save, but it does make a little bit of a difference. The movement manipulation that you see me do here is to set up a subpixel perfect position to save 1 frame going through the door as we exit this room. The idea is that after Ridley flies through, Samus's position is normalized against this wall. From there, you hold dash and you run to the right while holding an angle. You are attempting to stop at this position on the floor. It may be difficult to see depending on what your monitor settings are doing to the blue color, but there's a little blue notch on the left side here of this darker line. You want Samus's toe to be lined up with that vertical notch. Assuming that it is, you then want to release the angle button. You should have been holding jump this entire time as well. My apologies for not explaining that earlier. While still holding the jump button and not holding the angle button, you press left, which will buffer a spin jump over to the left. Samus will land in this position next to the door. From there, you turn to the right, you jump, and then while still in the air, you turn left. This will very slightly adjust Samus's position as well. The last bit of movement manipulation that we do to exit this room, you can see that I'm holding an angle button. What this does is it allows us to get an arm pump after running forward by releasing the angle button. So you see that I release the angle button there after running forward. And then you want to repress the angle button as you enter the door. It is frame perfect technically to do it correctly. If you do all of this correctly, you'll get a 5986 or a 5987 as you exit. You can see that I got a 5985, which means that I was roughly one frame off on one of my inputs. Which input exactly, I'm not sure. We can quickly compare Behemoth's movement here, and you'll see that he does roughly the same thing that I do through the first number of rooms. I don't believe Behemoth does any manipulation in this room. And again, the manipulation that can be done is pretty negligible as far as time save. If you're going for completely optimal strats, it's definitely something worth knowing and going for. Notice that he didn't actually run to the right and spin jump to the left. He's not concerned with saving that one frame. Not a big deal. As you escape Ceres, you want to be doing arm pumps as much as you can in these first two rooms. I'll get a little more into that in a bit. I mentioned before that Behemoth tends to have a consistency first methodology. So let's compare what he does in his escape to what I do in my escape, and I'll break it down. If you look at my hand cam here, you can see that I'm holding the controller in a pretty strange way. I did mention this in the general movement and speedrun basics tutorial, but this is called Zoden pumping. Essentially, I'm using the fingernails on 3 of my fingers on my right hand and running them back and forth, or using a method called raking or hovering, as you might have heard in some other communities. Essentially, we're running the fingers back and forth along the R button to press it as quickly as we possibly can. Notice that we're getting a lot of inputs on that R button, which you can see in the input visualizer, shown here. Arm pumping in this game moves Samus forward 1 pixel every time we do it, so that can save a substantial amount of time going through this first door. I continue using this method throughout the second room as well. One thing that's worth noting is when you arm pump on a downward slope, sometimes you will fall off. I didn't in this particular run, but it's definitely something that can happen. So if you're worried about that, you can delay your pumps until you reach the bottom of the stairs here. Stop on a dime before the door, and run on through. Here's Behemoth again, and you'll see that he lost a few frames compared to me in these first couple of rooms. This is where things change a little bit. These stairs are really annoying. At the top of these stairs, Deer Force actually put the wrong tile on the corner. The result of this is that sometimes, depending on Samus's pixel position, when she reaches the top of the stairs, she'll just stop, for seemingly no reason, right about here. People refer to this as magnet stairs. It can be avoided by normalizing your movement through the first couple of rooms. Alternatively, you can do a little jump here at the top of the stairs, and that will also help you to avoid it. I opt to just go ahead and run through. You'll notice that I didn't actually stop there in this instance. I did get hit by steam here, and the steam is RNG, or random, essentially. You can somewhat react to the steam patterns. In my experience, it's best to just go for it and hope for the best. Once you reach the top of the stairs, you want to spin jump and ledge grab on the edge here. This set of stairs also has magnet stairs at the top. However, it's a little bit easier to avoid these. When Samus bonks this wall right here, that will normalize her subpixels. So if you do a clean ledge grab on the edge of this corner, she's always going to be in roughly the same position. That means if you normalize your movement up these stairs, you can theoretically avoid the magnet stairs every single time. I tend to do 2 pumps, 1, 2, and then jump past up onto the next corner. However you decide that you want to try finding normalized setup is up to you. Stop on a dime and run through the door. You see that Behemoth also hits steam here, but he also chooses to just run past and hope for the best. This right here is magnet stairs. So see how Samus suddenly just stops right here. And then she seemingly just jumps backwards. This is because Behemoth was anticipating that Samus would be further to the right and timed his jump based on that. But unfortunately, she got stopped by magnet stairs. That was a very good recovery on Behemoth's part. In this last room, we want to try and do a tile boost, or a damage boost off of a tile that falls from the ceiling. Unfortunately, oftentimes there's going to be steam here and here that is going to prevent us from doing the optimal movement. In this case, I had iframes because I hit steam in the previous room, so I'm able to just run through. If you don't have iframes here, it's time to make a choice on what you're going to do. You can either just go for it, run down the stairs and hope for the best, or you can jump from the top of the stairs to the right side of this platform here. That will be a little bit slower than moving optimally, but it will usually be better than getting hit by steam here. Since I have iframes, I opt to just run forward as far as I can and then jump, looking for a tile to boost off. I identify this tile and decide to do a damage boost. That's not necessarily the best tile, but it's not the worst one either. You want to position Samus so that she's going to land roughly at the top of the stairs right here. If you land too far to the right, this door won't open, and after landing you'll have to run forward, stop, and wait for the door, and then continue forward. If you boost far enough to the left, the door will open as Samus is falling and landing, and then you can just run on through. As far as Behemoth's approach to this room, you see that he does what I described. He doesn't have iframes, so he decides to jump from the top of the stairs and land on the right edge of this platform. He then identifies a tile falling from the ceiling and decides to damage boost off of that. He lands in a pretty good position to activate the door and then just runs through. This last room can be pretty annoying as well. Depending on Samus's position in the door here, if you're too high, she might actually bonk the corner and not make it up. In this example, I'm able to just hold right and jump as she comes out of the door, and she spin jumps up past the corner. At that point, I can then do a wall jump and a ledge grab onto this platform. One thing that's important to note is that Samus's hitbox outside of a wall jump is taller than it appears, and it will remain in that taller state until the jump button is released or she turns around. Obviously, we're not going to be turning around in this situation, since the ledge grab that we need to perform is this platform here on the left. So you'll notice that I release jump very briefly before pressing the angle button to ledge grab. This allows her hitbox to clear the platform. If I had held jump this entire time, there's a good chance that we would not have landed on this platform. From here, it's just a series of jumps and ledge grabs up to the top of the room. As far as my visual cues here go, I don't always use these, but when I do focus on using these visual cues, I tend to have a faster room. This first jump is a little bit higher than the jumps that are following it. But on these, you can ledge grab pretty much as soon as you see that Samus is sideways, like this. So she jumps up, does a spin, ends up sideways, and then I ledge grab. Same thing here. And then up to the elevator we go. If you do happen to bonk coming out of the door, sometimes you can quickly do a wall jump off of the door. This is what happens to Behemoth. So see that he's holding jump and right, but Samus doesn't actually move upward as she starts moving throughout the room. Instead, she's stuck under the door. So he quickly does a wall jump off of the door, and then again off of the wall. This won't always work. Sometimes the door is missing as it's exploding. That can be really frustrating. But in that situation, you'll fall and then quickly jump and then do a wall jump off the wall. And that's the Ceres Escape. Alright, so we've made it to the planet. The first bit here is pretty straightforward. You want to do an angle up shot just as Samus is passing this part of the background. That will hit the door every time and allow you to run through without bonking. For this room, you want to do short hop ledge grab onto that mound. Just run off the left side. And then do a short hop spin jump down between these platforms here. Then you want to quickly turn and do a moonfall. Hold right this whole time until you pass this right here. And shortly after that, you want to turn left, which should land you on the left side of this platform. From here, you can do a double down back. Shoot as you're passing this platform, which will open the door. Down back again to the left and fall through. That strat's pretty difficult. Let's watch it one more time. And again with things slowed down. So we moonfall, turn left, land on the platform, run off to the left, turn right, push down, and then back to down back, shoot, release down, turn left, repress down, then push right to do another down back in the other direction. I actually stole that strat for Behemoth years ago, but as I've said, Behemoth is a consistency first player, and I don't believe he actually does that anymore. So you can see he still does a moonfall, but he opts to land on the right side of the platform instead. Does a down back to squeeze through this gap, right here. Shoots, turns right, and then just holds left. The reason a down back isn't necessary to get through the door here is because he's able to shoot earlier than I am to open the door. So it's already open by the time he reaches and can simply fall through. If you compare that with my run here, you'll see that I'm just about to hit the door. The only reason I don't is because I'm still in the aim down pose. Let's watch Behemoth's room one more time. Moonfall. Briefly turn left and then swing back to the right. Run off the right side of the platform. Again, down back just to get through these platforms here. It's kind of a tight space. Shoot, open the door, and then just fall through. The timing difference between these strats is pretty negligible. So if you're struggling with the double down back at all, I would recommend doing the strat that Behemoth did in his run. As you're landing in this room, you want to be holding an angle and shoot. You can see that's what's being done here. As soon as Samus lands, push right to moonwalk to the right, and then do a moonfall. You can weave through these platforms and then make it back to the wall for your moonfall. Right, left, right, down. Once you're falling down along the right wall, start shooting. What that will do is it will open the door as we reach the bottom. Also notice that Samus clips through this platform right here. She will not clip through the platform if you're not aiming down. So make sure that you're aiming down this entire time. The door will open, since we've been shooting. And then if you want to be really optimal, you can do a short moonwalk as you wait for the door to open and then run forward. That's a pretty tight strat, and if you're struggling at all, I would recommend just holding right as you reach the bottom to run through the door. Alternatively, if you're struggling with the weave through the platforms, you can also just moonwalk further to the right of the platform and do a later moonfall. The reason this is slower is because you do have to moonwalk to the right for just a number of frames before you're able to actually clear this platform here on the right. But some people do find it more consistent, which is why Behemoth does it. You see that he also shoots and holds the aim down pose so that he'll clip through this platform. And then he simply runs through the door. It is worth noting, if you bonk on one of these platforms and land early, you can do another moonfall off of one of these lower platforms. If you do that, after you're aiming down along this right wall, you'll want to turn left. That will change Samus's position slightly, and she'll still clip through this platform. If you don't do the turn left after moonfalling from one of the lower platforms, she will bonk this platform right here as she falls. This room is just a series of short jumps, arm pumps, and shooting to open the last door. You can see I actually fell in my PB here. All it takes is a lot of practice, but no matter how much you practice, you're still going to fall here sometimes. Great job, Behemoth. Stop on a dime to stop perfectly on the elevator, and then press down to go down. Collecting Morph Ball is surprisingly more complex than you might think, but it's not too bad. Let's take a look at how this is done. So as you come down in the elevator, you want to be holding left and dash. I also hold an angle button for an extra arm pump. When you reach the left here, do a spin jump up to this platform. If you're feeling super aggressive, you can try and down grab, but at most that's going to save you one frame, and usually you'll probably end up losing time. Then you want to do a short hop spin jump down through this gap here. If you jump too high, Samus won't land on that statue platform and she'll fall down instead. So try not to jump too high here as you're doing this short hop. From here, optimally, what you want to do is wall jump check to grab the Morph Ball. If you do it in the right position, Samus will go grab the morph ball, and then land back on this statue without ever needing to do a wall jump or anything to get back up here. So notice that as I jump to the left, I then turn right, and I did a bit of a higher jump here. You can use some visual cues based on Samus's position relative to the morph ball and what parts of the background you can see behind it in order to tell whether you're going to make it back to the statue. I can't really specifically define every different position for you in this tutorial, but with enough practice you should be able to tell what's going to happen. If you're in the correct position, you can simply hold right to land back on the statue. If you're in a perfectly optimal position, you can actually hold down and right, and I believe an angle button if necessary, and you'll still land on the platform. The reason that can be a little bit faster is because it can prevent you from needing to stop to morph here. We're getting into the nitty-gritty here, and that's really not that important. I felt it was worth clarifying, at least. As you're running on this statue, you want to do an angle down shot to break that block preemptively. Morph, and then roll through the gap. Unmorph, do a short hop ledge grab, do an angle up shot to open this door, and then spin jump all the way through the door. When you land in this room, you want to be holding angle down. As soon as you land, you want to crouch, then shoot, which will break these two blocks, morph, roll through, unmorph, do a down back, shoot out these blocks as you fall, and then morph again here at the bottom, late enough so that you won't bounce. After doing this soft morph, you roll to the left, unmorph, shoot, wait briefly, and then run through the door. Here's how it looks at full speed. Let's take a look at how Behemoth does this room, since it's quite a bit different. Just like I did, he does a spin jump and ledge grabs at the top here. I guess technically he didn't actually ledge grab. He does a short hop, lands on the statue, and then does a short hop here again. This is an older strat. He grabs the morph ball, and then after the item acquisition, he does a wall jump off the podium there to land back on the statue. It's not that much slower, but it is a little bit slower. Angle down shot on the statue to clear the block, morph, roll through, little ledge grab and run to the right, just like I did. But you'll notice here, he actually ledge grabs before the door, and then jumps through the door. You might be wondering why this is, and the reason is actually because Behemoth doesn't have an angle down button. He's remapped that button on his controller to another action. Because of this, he's unable to land here and angle down shoot these blocks like I was able to. So instead, he jumps through the door, he holds down and right on the D-pad to get the angle down pose, and then he shoots these blocks out and falls down through this way. He morphs and then unmorphs as he lands to quickly shoot the door, then remorphs and doesn't need to wait for the door before he's able to run through. Ultimately, all of these strats are very slightly slower, but they work for him since he doesn't have an angle down button. In this room, you want to be holding dash, shoot, and left as you enter. That will shoot the orb to reveal the missile pack. Then, as you reach around this spot on the floor, you want to turn right. This will cause Samus to kind of slide into the missile pack as she's turning around. It's not a huge difference, but it does save a few frames. After that, you want to again be holding dash and shoot and right, which will buffer a shot to open this door, Then you want to do a short hop mock ball through the door. Roll through the little tunnel, unmorph. You can either do a straight jump or turn around and spin jump to get up onto this platform. And then you want to do an up grab, ledge grab, I guess is what we'll call it, to land on this platform and immediately shoot up. You want to be standing on the edge of these blocks so that when Samus shoots, it clears this block and both of these blocks at the same time. Then you just want to jump, quickly morph up into the hole there, roll to the left, unmorph, open the door, and again briefly pause before running through the door so you don't bonk on your way out. From here is just arm pumps, a little ledge grab, and then up the elevator we go. Here's how Behemoth does it. So generally the same thing. As I mentioned, you can do a spin jump here at the bottom to ledge grab here. I base what I do depending on what direction Samus is facing as I unmorph. Upshot through the blocks, run through the door. There's a few different ways to handle this next room. It's pretty complex, and really, like I mentioned before, probably the thing that you should focus on is consistency first and speed later. You can see in my hand cam, I'm actually holding the controller in kind of a weird way again. This is called a piano grip. The reason I'm doing this is because it's the easiest way for me to access all of the buttons that I need to for the next room in a consistent way. So Samus comes up the elevator and you can see that I'm holding left and shoot. I'm not holding dash here. Instead, I press dash shortly after running left, typically around the time that I see that the shot is about to hit the door. If you hold left and dash the whole time, Samus is going to bonk this door before she's able to run through. And for this particular strat, we actually want that run speed. Continue holding left, shoot, and dash as you come out of this door. That will buffer a shot on this first pirate. After coming out of the door, you'll want to press jump so that Samus jumps across through this gap here. The way that I do this, I slide my index finger from shoot down to jump. And you'll see here on the input visualizer that Y actually gets released shortly after I press the jump button. That may not work for you depending on how you have your buttons laid out, but that's how I do it. Before you land, you want to turn right and shoot this pirate on the wall. The reason we're doing that is because the doors in here are actually locked until all of these pirates get killed. After shooting the pirate on the wall, you turn left again, shoot again. You're still holding dash this whole time. After you reach the left side of this platform here, you'll jump in a spin jump pose, and then turn back to the right as you're under this broken piece here. If you do it correctly, you can damage boost off of this shot that the pirate released while you're running to the left. If you go too fast, meaning if you shoot too early here to the left, you can actually prevent the pirate from shooting. So try not to go too fast. Damage boost to the left, and if you do it correctly, you'll land here on this platform. From there, you'll hold left and dash, shoot the pirate, and do a gap skip, which is where after running off of this platform with dash speed, you can hold down to change Samus's hitbox into an aim down pose, which will allow her to land on this platform. From there, you're still holding left and dash. you do a dash jump across, not too high, through this gap onto this platform. You shoot this pirate, you jump across again, open the door, and jump through the door. You'll see that I turn around before jumping through this door. This is called a wall jump check. Essentially what we're doing is we're using Samus's wall jump mechanic to extend her hitbox backwards and activate this door a few frames earlier. There are some other ways that you can go through this room as well. Behemoth, for example, doesn't like doing the damage boost strat because he uses a different strat in the next room, which doesn't allow him to as easily collect health drops. So instead, upon exiting this door, he aims up, shoots this pirate, and then jumps across after shooting that pirate. You'll note that he did a shorter jump and only landed on this platform instead of jumping all the way across to this next platform. That's because when he stops after entering this room, he loses his dash speed to shoot this first pirate. So it's easier to just do a shorter jump, gap skip onto this first platform, and then start jumping from platform to platform. The rest of the room is pretty self-explanatory. It is a little bit slower to do the room this way, but again, consistency first, speed later. There's two main ways to get up this room quickly. One way is to do wall jumps up the right side of the room. The other way is to do ledge grabs up through the middle of the room on the platforms. Conveniently, I do the wall jumps, and Behemoth uses the ledge grabs. Some people refer to the ledge grab climb as the Behemoth climb, because he was one of the first people to popularize that method of doing this room. For my method, I count 3 wall jumps here, and I want my last one to be just below this block in the wall. From there, I go around this platform, do an up grab, shoot this pirate, and then continue wall jumping. I count 3 more, and then do an up grab onto this platform to shoot this pirate. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Spin jump to the left. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wall jumps. Up grab, shoot this pirate. 1, 2 wall jumps. Up grab, shoot again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wall jumps. Ledge grab this platform. Do a little wall jump off of this platform. This part's a little bit tricky because you need to turn left again quickly or you're going to bonk this platform here. Up grab, shoot when you land on this platform. Shooting will open the door. Wall jump off this little platform here. Ledge grab, and then go up through the door. I do a wall jump at the top of this room. I'll get more into that in just a minute. So to go through this again, 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, shoot. 1, 2, shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ledge grab, up on through. The top of the room is where most people lose the most time. And that's because these movements are kind of awkward and difficult to optimize. First of all, remember what I said in Ceres about how Samus's hitbox coming out of a wall jump is actually taller. You can't see it, but this is another situation where you need to release jump and then ledge grab. So if you look at the input display, you'll see I'm still holding jump, I release jump, and then I ledge grab. And again, this last bit here is pretty difficult to optimize. If you want, another thing that you could do instead would be to up grab on this platform here, shoot up, and then continue climbing up the right side of the wall. The last upshot will kill this pirate. you can continue wall jumping up to this platform, do an angle up shot to open the door, then jump up here and jump on through. That was the old strat that people did in this room a long time ago. It is a little bit slower, but it's definitely easier than doing all of this complicated movement here in the middle. So completely up to you. Now let's watch how Behemoth does the room. So he starts with a wall jump here. He quickly ledge grabs this platform. He down grabs this platform. And then he just does a series of ledge grabs between each platform. When he gets to the top, he goes left, does a wall jump there, opens the door, and then jumps up through the left side of the door instead. Let's watch it in full speed. Going up the left in the next room is also a little bit slower, so this has the disadvantage of that, but ultimately, the ledge grab climb is definitely a realistic option if you're struggling with the wall jump climb. This next room is called Parlor. So if you remember, I did a wall jump here as I was entering the door. If you do that wall jump correctly, Samus can get up past this platform and do an upshot pretty quickly. Unfortunately, in my PB, I did not do it correctly, and we end up bonking here. It's kind of a risk-reward situation, and it's up to you whether you want to do that wall jump through the door or not. It does save a number of frames optimally, and even more frames for me on average, assuming that I do it correctly. The rest of the room is a series of quick jumps and shots, so let's go through it piece by piece. So first, you want to get on top of this platform here, do an upshot to clear this schemer. You can follow your shot up and do a down grab onto this platform. Alternatively, you could also do a spin jump here, which would make ledge grabbing this platform a little bit easier. From there, you want to turn to the right and spin jump up onto this platform. If you end up doing a straight jump, just try to compensate and do a down grab instead of a normal ledge grab here. After you ledge grab, you want to do another spin jump and ledge grab onto this platform. You might see some runners go to the right here, and you're definitely welcome to do that if you want. It is technically a little bit faster to go that way if you can optimize it completely, the way that Drewski can, for example. However, compared to going to the left, completely optimally, it's only about 4 frames faster. And I find going right here much more difficult. So instead, I do a spin jump to the left, wall jump off of this platform, then off of this platform. Ledge grab here, but I try to turn around first. Spin jump up, ledge grab here, then here, then here, then here. And at this point, I press dash. So if you look at the entire rest of the room here, I'm not pushing dash at all. The reason for that is just to simplify the movements, since we don't need dash speed for any of those initial jumps. Once we get here, we actually do need the dash speed. So this is the point where I press dash, run to the right, ledge grab here, arm pump up the slope, but not down the slopes, and then do a short hop mock ball. If you delay your jump here, you will go a little bit faster, but I find if I do a jump from this lower platform here onto this slightly raised platform, I have a tendency to mess up the mock ball there. After you enter this tunnel, Samus will fall down as a morph ball. And if you align yourself with this wall here, you can fall straight down without bonking here or here. Please note that this particle that falls can damage you if you're too far to the left, and that will screw up the rest of the room. So try to make sure that you're as far right as you can be without being too far right. Just so you can see where the particle comes from, it's from this scree, who drills down into the floor here, and then releases the particles. When you get to the bottom, you want to unmorph as you're landing, shoot the door, and then run forward. I'm not very familiar with the left side strats in this room, so we're just going to watch what Behemoth does. And as you can see, a lot of it is roughly the same as what I did. Really, it's just the first part of the room that's a little bit different. So he does a down grab onto this platform, and then does a wall jump off of this platform on the left to get up here. And then he needs to make sure that he doesn't hit this gamer on his way up. Those are the only functional differences. Okay, last room before Bomb Torizo. You just want to arm pump and run underneath these bugs. The most common strat you're going to see here is jumping, shooting 2 missiles on your way up, and then 3 angle down missiles to open the door, and then running through. I jump as I'm passing this block in the background after I've cleared the flies. Shoot twice on the way up, 3 angle down shots. I try to land on the left side of this platform here, and then run through the door. There is a slightly faster strat that you can do, where you jump just a little bit later, and you shoot 3 missiles, 1, 2, 3. So you jump, you shoot 2, and then you release jump, and you shoot a 3rd one on your way down. And then you shoot 2 more angle up missiles to finish opening the door, and you jump and aim down through the door as it's opening. It saves a handful of frames, but it's much more difficult. And if you miss any of the missiles, that's basically a reset. Either that or you have to go back and reform the bugs to get your missiles back. So I personally haven't adopted that strat, but it is a little bit faster. You'll see Behemoth does roughly the same thing that I do. Let's talk about Bomb Torizo. So you'll collect bombs here, and then what you want to do is use Moonwalk to position Samus. I think it's pixel perfectly. The reason we're doing this is so that Bomb Torizo will jump back on the first frame possible after he wakes up. So you'll see I'm constantly shooting and kind of attempting to reposition Samus here. What we want to see is, see these lighter colored dots here in the background? We want those to line up with Samus's back without there being a gap between them. So if you see the darker color in the background between the dot and between Samus, she's not in the right position. It's worth noting that her sprite, how far back the red part of her sprite goes, adjusts or it changes depending on whether you're in an angle up, angle down, or neutral stance. So my cue is based on the angle up position. So you'll see I'm trying to moonwalk backwards, but then I go too far because I can no longer see the light colored dots. So I step forward a little bit and then I try again. This is the right position where you can't see the darker color between the dot and Samus's back here. So now knowing that I'm in the right position, I morph. And we just sit here on the floor waiting for Bomb Torizo to wake up. And you'll see that as soon as the fight starts, he jumps back. When he's in the air, if you shoot Bomb Torizo at all, it will stun him so that he'll take longer to land. So we want to delay our shots until he's landed, or maybe just shoot him once before he's landed. So you'll see I wait to shoot. After he's landed, I shoot him 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I aim up and I shoot these orbs to get some drops. And then I do one more shot on Bomb Torizo, jump up to collect the missiles. You'll notice that I made it a point not to jump too high so that we leave some more missiles. Select missiles, shoot him 1, 2, 3, 4 times. He'll do this little explosion animation. And during this explosion animation, he actually can't be damaged. More on that in a minute. So this is the perfect opportunity to jump and collect more missiles. So we jump up, collect the last set of missiles, and as we're falling down, we shoot him 1, 2, 3 more times, and that's the end of the fight. Something interesting about Bomb Torizo is we're just going to call him a boss or a mini boss, even though there's arguments in the community about whether that's true. Bomb Torizo and Golden Torizo, for whatever reason, have an extended period of iframes, whereas most, if not all, of the other bosses don't actually have an extended period of iframes. So because of that, we have to kind of stagger the timing on our shots here. The other thing about this fight is you want to hit him with 5 of your regular shots. Bomb Torizo has, I think it's 800 HP total, and after he gets below 100 HP, he has this animation where his head explodes and his face comes off, and that's slow, because again, during the exploding animations, we can't actually damage Bomb Torizo. So because of that, what we want to do is we want to shoot him with 5 P shots. Those do 20 damage each, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 100 damage total. So now he has 700 HP left, and each missile does 100 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. He does this exploding animation, and then we do 1, 2, 3 more shots. So he goes from 400 HP left down to 300, down to 200, down to 100, and then from 100 to 0. So we never see that face explosion animation. I think I actually misspoke there. I think it's 300 to 200, and then anyway. So yeah, that's kind of the optimal way to do this fight. Just make sure that you're not shooting too fast, because if you shoot too fast, his iframes will prevent him from taking damage. So we're just going to watch this one more time, and if you pay attention to the spacing between my shots, you'll notice I'm not shooting very fast, and that's because if I shoot faster than that, there's a chance that he's not actually going to take damage. So yeah, that's the fight. I have a strat for exiting this room. When I see this shadow of Bomb Torizo disappear, I press and hold shoot. And then right around the time of the second shot coming out, I run to the left. I angle up while still holding shoot, because without charge beam, if you hold shoot, Samus will just repeatedly fire at a set rate. And then I jump through the door. You do want to collect as many of these missiles as you can to make sure that you get up to 5. So keep that in mind. I already have 2 here, so I know that I don't need as many necessarily, but if you're at 0, it might be a good idea to wait just a little bit longer to make sure that you get more of these drops. These can appear anywhere in generally the main part of the room, and sometimes like all of the missiles will be like up in this area. And so if you just run to the left and then jump late, you might not get any. So just keep that in mind. Let's watch how Behemoth does the fight. So you'll see he also positioned. He was not holding angle up, so his position was a little different than mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the fight. Just a few rooms left and we'll be out of Crateria. So for this room, you just want to arm pump underneath the bugs, angle up, shoot this door, jump, ledge grab, run through the door. Pretty basic. For this next room, we're going to discuss a trick called Alcatraz, which is a sticking point for a lot of new runners. So the first thing you want to do is ledge grab here and then up here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do some wall jumps to get up out of this part of the room on the left side. What you'll see most runners do is wall jump here on the left wall, and then they'll wall jump again right around here. I do it on the right wall. That is very slightly faster, but not by any huge margin necessarily. So really, you just want to do what's most comfortable for you. But again, so we're doing some wall jumps to get up into this gap here. Now this is the important part. You want to do one last wall jump off the bottom here where it kind of slopes down like this. Keep in mind that Samus's hitbox, as long as the top of her hitbox is connecting with this wall, she can still wall jump. So even though her legs are down here, that's not going to prevent her from being able to wall jump. So at this point, now that we're up in this gap here, we do one more wall jump. And then if you look at the inputs over here, you'll see I'm holding jump and then I press down one time and Samus morphs. The reason for this is because out of a wall jump, for whatever reason, as long as you're still holding jump, it only takes one down press to morph instead of two. That's the major sticking point with this trick for most people, is they think that they need to press down twice to get up out of here, but it's really just one down press. So that significantly reduces the complexity of this movement and should make it a lot easier if you weren't aware of that before. So let's just watch it in full speed here. And then let's watch it in slow-mo one more time. 1, 2, 1 down press. Up and through the hole. One more thing to note, you'll see that I tap jump right here. This is a relatively new RTA strat. It's been in TASs for a long time, but it's called ball pumping. Basically, from what I understand, if you press jump to try to make Samus unmorph as she's falling down onto this ledge here, it will actually push her down a little faster than it would otherwise. It's mostly free to go for, but it only saves like 1 or 2 frames if I remember correctly, so it's not a huge deal. Once you roll out of here, you want to unmorph, hold dash, run to the left, do a short hop mock ball bomb, and then personally I opt to just roll through this gap. You'll see some people kind of roll over to the right, unmorph, and do a mock ball down through here. That is theoretically faster if you can do it super well. I've never been able to optimize it well enough for my liking, so I don't worry about it. And then what you want to do is you want to unmorph a little bit past this wall, run left, and you can just hold shoot, I think, is what I do. Nope, that's a lie. I press shoot twice. Depending on your position of the unmorph and when you press shoot, Samus may be able to open the door and run through without bonking. In this situation, I was able to do that. But if you do bonk this door, there's a specific strat that you want to do that I'll cover. But yeah, so that's Parlor on the way back from Bomb Torizo. And let's look at how Behemoth does it. So you'll see he's going on the left here, but the concept is the same. Okay, he bonked this door. So let's see how he handles this room. Okay, so he does not do the normalized strat, and that's okay, but I'm just going to explain. If you bonk the door in the previous room, you want to run through the door without holding shoot. And then as you come out of the door here, notice that Samus's arm cannon is not forward. You want to hold shoot, okay? For me, once you pass this mushroom here, that's when you want to angle down, and you're just holding shoot this whole time. And if you do that, you can just hold shoot the whole time, and it will clear all of these gamers without needing to time this last shot like Behemoth does. From there, you'll want to shoot. You'll want to select missiles, and then you'll want to shoot as Samus is passing this little thing that's sticking out of the mushroom here. And then deselect missiles and shoot a normal shot, which will open the door. He did that a little bit differently, obviously. I'm just saying how I would have done it if I had bonked the door. You collect the energy tank, and then you can shoot one last missile to clear this last waiver. And then he's also going to end up picking up a missile drop right here from this first waiver. And roughly the same thing will happen if you use the strat that I mentioned. So that's how he did that room. As far as the non-door bonk strat, if you want to be really aggressive, you can arm pump. Arm pumping down these slopes is safe except for when you are underneath this mushroom. So you see this mushroom texture here. This slope is steeper than the rest of the terrain. You may not be able to see that, but there's a slope right here that is steeper. If you arm pump on this slope right here, you might fall off. So basically you can arm pump anywhere in this room except for to the left of the mushrooms. You don't want to arm pump there. So I'm arm pumping down this room. I shoot this gamer here, and then I shoot this next one here, and then I shoot this last one here. I'm kind of just tapping the shoot button repeatedly. Shoot, 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 shoot. You'll get a feel for the general timing, but it's definitely not as consistent as the other strat that I mentioned. From here, you want to select your missiles. And since we were arm pumping, we're actually making it down a little bit earlier than we would otherwise. So because of that, you want to shoot the missile a little bit earlier as well. I shoot 2 missiles with this strat, and then a P-shot to open the door. Sometimes this waiver will not drop a missile. Sometimes this waiver won't drop a missile too. Usually they will, but if you get in this situation where you're not sure if this waiver is going to drop a missile, but you can see the missile that's already here and you're worried about it, you can just hold jump during this energy tank collection, and Samus will grab this missile. Alright, so as you can see, in my PB, I got scammed. This waiver did not drop a missile. So, because of that, we're going to change how we do this room a little bit, because we need full missiles in the next room. So I missile this guy and I wait. No drop. I missile this guy and I wait. Get a drop. Missile this guy and I wait. Get a drop. You get the idea. Now that I have 5, I'm just going to run through this last guy, because otherwise I would have to do more farming later, and we don't want to do that. Assuming that you have full missiles entering this room, what you want to do instead is just shoot and run through each pirate. The reason that we're shooting them is because it puts them in this guard animation, When they're in this guard pose, their hitbox extends forward, so Samus will bonk it earlier, and especially with this first pirate, you'll see when she takes the damage, it kind of boosts her down onto the floor, so she lands earlier and can start running earlier. You want to shoot all of the pirates. It's the same concept, just less drastic here in these lower ones. But you do want to shoot all the pirates. Alright, one more room here. So, arm pump. You want to jump as you're passing the mushrooms, but not too high. Basically, we're just trying to jump over these enemies here. They're called Kegos. And then you want to shoot here to open the door. Oftentimes, you're going to end up bonking this mushroom. This space here is kind of tight, but if you can, you want to avoid that. Just run through the door, stop on a dime, and go down the elevator. You'll see Behemoth does things slightly differently, but it's the same concept. And that is Ceres and Crateria. So we're going to end this video off here. Next one will be Green Brinstar. I might do all the way through Crate. We'll see. But I hope you enjoy this new format. It should be more polished and hopefully easier for newcomers to understand what's going on, since things are kind of slowed down and frame advanced and stuff like that. If you're feeling like you want a different presentation of a lot of the same information, you can go watch the old 100% tutorial as well. I will probably be unlisting those videos but leaving the playlist up. So anyway, just keep that in mind. But with that, I thank you for your time and your support, and I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you.